While some are born to feast, others spend their lives in the dark.
Welcome back to the Director's Choice. There is hardly a soul alive today who hasn't seen The Lion King or at least heard about it. The Lion King is one of the most popular movies of all time. And we're not just talking about Disney movies alone. The story of Simba is known to all and beloved by all.
Get away from my mother!
Simba. You're alive?
The Prince of Pride Rock, who was almost cheated out of his throne, is one of the world's favorite movies. In fact, it is generally considered to be a classic. The Lion King is one of those movies that everybody must see at least once in their life. Either as a child or as an adult, you should definitely see The Lion King.
Are you with me, lions?
The choice is yours, Scar.
Fortunately, it is one of those movies that both children and grown-ups can enjoy. So for people who haven't seen it, it's not too late for you to do so. While you've probably seen The Lion King at least once or even 500 times.
This is literally my childhood.
That are hidden all through The Lion King that everyone but the most avid observer will have missed. But hey, don't feel bad about missing the subtlety because most people do. So, if you fall into this category, here are some things that you didn't know about The Lion King.
Life's not fair, is it, my little friend?
Before a movie is filmed, and even while filming, a lot of changes and edits are made to the scripts. Some things are added and some are removed. A new character may be introduced, or an existing character may be cut off. Original relationships may be cut off from the scripts, or new relationships may be added. The latter is the case of Scar and Mufasa. How, may you ask? Well, you see, in the early scripts and drafts of The Lion King, Scar and Mufasa weren't related. Yes, you heard that right. Originally, the two were not meant to be brothers. Rather than being the disgruntled brother of the king, Scar was simply a disgruntled member of the public.
I looked down, saw the fear in his eyes.
He was meant to just be a random lion in the movie who hated the king just because he thought he should be king. While that would have certainly made for quite an interesting watch, it probably wouldn't have had as much of an impact on the story if they weren't brothers. There is just something about Scar betraying his own brother that pulls at the heartstrings in such a way that it would have been very hard for the original storyline to achieve. There is just something about the familial betrayal that tugs at the heart. We sure are glad that the producers decided to change the storyline.
Was that today? Must have slipped my mind. Of course, I meant no disrespect towards His Majesty.
Be prepared. Be prepared!
Although this scene was thankfully scrapped from the live-action remake of The Lion King, this scene has been met with skepticism for years. In this scene, in the original movie, Scar is seen elevated for most of the scene, as he's standing on a cliff and looking down at his army, the hyenas, who he wants to use in his plan to murder Mufasa. The hyenas are grouped in a formation that is familiar to people who know a thing or two about Hitler and Nazis. The hyenas are grouped in a way that is reminiscent of Hitler's army. Also, the way the hyenas move is in a style eerily similar to goose-stepping, which is widely known to be the way that Hitler's Nazi army moved. Also, the manner and way in which Scar is elevated above his army and looks down from his position of power are again very similar to how Adolf Hitler was portrayed in The Triumph of the Will. Furthermore, the rays of light that shoot around Scar while he's singing in the cave are once again very similar to the Cathedral of Light, which is featured in a lot of Nazi rallies in the 1930s. While this may seem innocuous, especially to people who are unobservant or do not know much about Nazis, to the more discerning folks, it may make them quite uncomfortable. Sure, this may be a mere coincidence, and we're just reading too much into what is an innocent scene. The coincidences seem to be too paralleled to be innocent, keeping in mind that Scar is the villain of the movie who commits the unthinkable evil of murdering his own brother. Could this be the producer's super subtle way of comparing Scar to Hitler? Are they trying to subtly draw a comparison between Hitler and Scar? Let us know what you think down below in the comments. As adults, it is not all that uncommon to rewatch movies or cartoons that we loved as kids and then notice a scene, dialogue, or something in the background that makes us think, what the heck? There are so many things that our childish minds didn't understand or entirely failed to understand that we now understand as adults. Also, it is not uncommon for messages to be subtly hidden in movies that only the most eagle-eyed of people spot them. For example, several Mickey Mouse ears are hidden throughout the original Lion King movie. A more popular message that was super subtly hidden in the original movie is a 3-letter word that was formed by a cloud of dust. Fans of The Lion King have claimed for years that the word sex is subtly hidden in the movie. Disney, after all, will say anything to deny having adult content in any of their movies. What word do you think was in the sky? Drop a comment letting us know what you think. Pride Rock is one of the central locations in The Lion King. In fact, it can be argued that it is the most important place in the entire movie. After all, the entire movie is based on the struggle for the throne, which is basically Pride Rock. Pride Rock is home to the King of the Pride Lands, which is the territory where the movies take place. It serves as home to the king and his family, as well as the king's throne. It is a tradition that when a new king takes the throne, he climbs to the top of Pride Rock and lets out a mighty roar which can be heard throughout the Pride Lands. It is a tradition that upon the birth of a new prince or princess, he or she is presented to the entire kingdom at the top of Pride Rock. We are all familiar with Pride Rock, but what you didn't know is that Pride Rock is based on a real-life location. While it's not a perfect match because some changes were made in the filming and design process, it was inspired by the sweeping cliffs in Kenya's Hell's Gate National Park. When animators for the live-action movie visited the national park while hunting for inspiration, they were immediately taken in by the majestic view of the national park. While the inspiration behind Pride Rock in the original movie is unknown, it is most likely where the movie is widely believed to be set. A lot of people are familiar with Shakespeare's popular play Hamlet. For those who are not familiar with the play, Hamlet is the story of a young prince of Denmark who has to abandon his claim to the throne after his father was murdered. However, his father's ghost soon begins to appear to him, telling him to return home, seek vengeance for his murder, and claim the throne that is rightfully his. Does this plot sound familiar to you? If it does, then it may be because it sounds very similar to the plot of The Lion King. For years, it has been theorized that The Lion King is very loosely based on Hamlet, and we'll tell you how. First, and most important, is that both the fathers of both protagonists are killed by their uncles, their father's brothers, after which said uncles take over the throne, even though the princes are the rightful heirs. Mufasa is killed by his brother, and King Hamlet is also murdered by his brother. Just a mere coincidence? We think not. Also, in both The Lion King and Hamlet, the evil uncle who kills the king and takes the throne to himself is a central figure. In fact, both the movie and the play wouldn't be what they were without this important villain. In Hamlet, Claudius kills his brother, the king, and soon becomes king. In The Lion King, as you know, Scar kills Mufasa and becomes king when Simba runs away from the Pride Lands. Evil uncles and betraying brothers are a central theme in both The Lion King and Hamlet. Yet another similarity is Rafiki and Horatio. While Rafiki is definitely older than Horatio is in the shows, some similarities can be drawn from both characters. For example, in The Lion King, Rafiki acts like a sort of link between Pride Rock and the rest of Pride Lands, which is kind of similar to Horatio's bureaucratic or diplomatic role in Hamlet. Also, Rafiki is the one who brings Simba to the ghost of his father, just as Horatio brings Hamlet to the ghost. Think that is an odd coincidence? Well, we've got one more for you. Both princes in the play and the movie saw the ghosts of their fathers. Both ghosts appear at midnight and tell their sons to go back home and fight for the throne that is rightfully theirs. However, there is a slight difference. While the ghost in Hamlet is direct and goes straight to the point by telling Hamlet to kill Claudius and avenge his death, the ghost of Mufasa is calmer and gentler, leading Simba to come to the realization that he has to return home and reclaim Pride Rock. So clearly, there are a little too many parallels in Hamlet and The Lion King to call it mere coincidence. Do you agree that The Lion King is a loose adaptation of Hamlet? Let us know what you think in the comments. Like a lot of Disney movies, The Lion King is rife with hidden meanings that you may not be aware of. It contains some moments that you may miss if you blink, but that doesn't make it any less awesome. The Lion King will always remain one of the greatest animated movies of all time. Generations to come will watch this movie and love it just as much as we do. Maybe even more because it's one of those movies that you just can't get enough of. That's all for this video. Thank you for joining us on the breakdown on things you didn't know about The Lion King. Which new discovery about The Lion King shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Take a look at this recent clip by Director's Choice, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.